Gotcha, thank you.
How would you gauge the effectiveness, and then at what point would you then say that you would then have to dispose of the supplies?
So to answer the first part, how to gauge the effectiveness, since the pandemic, the CDC has come out with something called the PPE burn-through rate. Now, it's a calculator that's pretty much standardized throughout the healthcare industry right now. And it's basically how fast you're going through different pieces of PPE. And so how the effectiveness of that is, if you see if these wardrobes are in these facilities and then you see your burn rate start to decrease drastically, that means not only are you like saving money on PPE, but you're also reducing your waste because you have less thrown out. As for when it's time to throw out, that just becomes like the normal shelf life of these PPEs. Because you're able to reuse them, and obviously in certain situations, if you have a medical emergency and something gets completely ruined, like you're gonna have to throw it out. But as it stands right now, the UV light won't really cause a lot of damage to the PPEs, and as far as like safety and structure goes, just because they don't affect a lot of the material PPEs are made out of. So again, it just becomes the shelf life of whatever you're using, whether it be goggles, masks, or gowns.
So, first of all, good job. I remember having a mentor conversation about this idea in the dark days of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Do it over Zoom. So it's good to see the idea progress. I just wasn't sure, as you were doing your research, did you come across any, I'll call them regulatory hurdles, right, in the world of, what is, as far as what's considered safe and are there parameters that, you have to comply with from a product perspective? In order to maintain, I'm not sure if it's like some sort of certification, it's a highly regulated industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's super highly regulated, but luckily, because of COVID, there have been a lot of advancements in that area, especially with UV lighting. Because during the pandemic, UV lights were used to, again, clean large spaces. This is how they clean trains and planes and all that, because it was much easier than hiring a team of 20 people to scrub every inch of it. So because of that, the FDA has approved certain, again, like the wavelength of UV light that is considered appropriate for killing viruses and bacteria, which is in that 200 to 315 range, which the light that we're using pulsates between. So the FDA does recommend that, and same with the CDC as well.
Thanks.
Okay, great job, thank you.
I'm using the FIFO method, first in, first out.
All good?
Good now.
Hello, I'm Tyler Wilson. I'm a junior computer science major here at Science College, and this is my project, Campus Compass, using Science College as an example. So the problem I came up with, or I examined, was that people come up to us on campus and ask where stuff is. Even today, we had some instances of people coming up asking where a gym is, where something like that is. So what if we could, instead of having to describe this, instead just have a map that holds out these images and points to exactly what we want to do? And that's where I came up with my solution, which is Campus Compass. So here I have a QR code to lead to my website. This is a website I made just as an example of what this program can do. So here I have a couple examples. Here's trash cans on our science campus. Here we can see it's highly customizable and you can zoom in the points, see these points, and also attach information. So this would be very useful for any class such as environmental science, something that people need to mark down where stuff is information about that. Another example I found is outdoor sculptures. I don't know if people know, but Ursinus has over 55 outdoor sculptures on campus. So here is a map of all these sculptures, and as you can see, we can attach the artist's name, we can attach the name of the sculpture, and just like the coordinates of where we can find it. So who is affected by this? The main target audience for this would be prospective students and parents who want to understand the campus layout, along with like accessibility of what this campus can offer, as long as resources. This website makes it so you could easily, like, before you come visit, plan out exactly where you want to go. It could help very much with tour guides or anything like that. Anyone who wants to remember, okay, here, I want to go here and do this. Go here and do this. The business model that I would have is a subscription-based service for campuses. We would offer smaller college campuses a subscription-based service that includes like the creation and maintenance of this program. It would include like plotting all the locations of what you want, say trash cans, water fountains, food places, all that stuff, and then maintaining it. And then this also could be applied to fairs and festivals along with like concerts, because concerts and stuff it's always a mess. They're always getting thrown together in different venues. It just would be great if we could have a QR code on the wall for them to scan. You know exactly where the bathrooms are. You know where you get food, where you get water. And that will just make it so, you know, you're not gonna litter if you know there's a trash can near you. You might be safer if you know where to get water near you or food. And then the third business model would be integration. We could integrate this service into clients' already existing websites or apps for their personal use. And we could customize it, make it so it contains their logos, their data, whatever they want. There's a couple benefits that this has over a generalized mapping service such as Google Maps. One is campus or event specific information. Google Maps is very broad on, it tells you where every building is and stuff like that, but you can't really say, okay, here's a list of these points, of trash cans, of sculptures, stuff like that. So on my program, we can do that. We can exactly put event-specific information, details about that event, and other stuff. And then it also is highly customizable.
I have to wrap up, Tyler.
Okay.
You can do your
And then
last
it
one.
is highly customizable. So we can really change any of the information we want, and that's something that Google would not let you do. So next time someone asks you about how to find something on Ursinus, just point them to UC Maps. Thank you.
So just a question around, so once you have the plots pointed, did you think about at all what it would take potentially to kind of GPS somebody there, or like maybe blending with, you know, what people have gotten used to? It's like, not only did I find it, but it's gonna help me get there.
Yeah, that is definitely in the future. I would love to, even for like the trash cans, I was thinking I could develop like an algorithm that compares the distance between them two. And that way we can see where we have a lot and where we can maybe need more. So I think that could be a great use. And all this stuff is held in, I made it very easy to like make these files, make these HTML files. So you can, this could be given to any student. They could make a database and generate their own plot, their own information, have their own descriptions or anything like that.
So how do you find that this compares to, maybe not like the large players like Google Maps, but some of the other smaller ones that were thinking about like how to do this for neighborhoods?
So I think the main difference with this is just the availability that like as an individual, you have a lot of control over this and you could share with another, like a collective almost. So as opposed to like a service that's taking you and showing you how to get somewhere, or just like a map, this is a set of information that maybe you want to share with another person, or a set of information that you guys are working on together. So these files, the databases are really easy to set up and really can be customized as much as you want.
Have you thought about, I think for the native user, have you thought about more of like what the mobile experience would look like as, how mobile friendly is it? Is it a native app? I think this is a great prototype start. I think there's a ton of potential of like what version 3 and 4 might look like. So how do you see kind of evolution of this application working, and what is like a specific problem that it solves for a university or for a visitor or something like that?
Okay, that's a great question. I think that I definitely think it's important for the mobile, because everyone has a cell phone nowadays. And especially with a service like a map, you want to be able to have that right in your pocket. This does work on your phone. You could scan this QR code and bring it up on your phone. I definitely could fix up the stuff a little bit. Probably boxes aren't correct with shaping and stuff.
Yeah.
But it does definitely work on the phone. You can still interact, touch block points and all that stuff. And then to the second part of your question, I think a problem for me personally that it solved is that I struggle a lot with food and water intake. And on our campus, we have a lot of options for that, but sometimes these options aren't available, such as Saturday and Sundays. It's a lot harder to find liquid, good protein meals and stuff like that. So just having all the water fountains near me, if I'm in my room or say I'm at the track, I can open up my phone, see where a water fountain nearby is, and just walk right there, immediately get drunk.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Tyler. I think next up is another Tyler. We have two Tylers in the room today. Oh, what'd you give? We gave you a bump, Pat, Harry. Oh, man.
Take your time.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tyler Griffith. I'm an economics major, and I'm a sophomore at Other Science College. I'm sorry. And I'm here to present you with Will Easy, Move with Ease. So why Will Easy? Will Easy, I came up with because I have a business back home, a family business that I work with my family, where we rent out frozen drink machines to customers, and each of these machines are roughly 200 pounds, and it is very heavy to lug around, and I'm probably moving thousands of them per year. So it'd be great to have a way that I don't actually have to physically pull these machines around, because it does take a toll on my back, my dad's back, and anybody else that's moving them. So I came up with the idea, motorized wheels controlled by remote. These wheels will be able to be put on underneath carts, dollies, or whatever else you can think of. This will make it easier for people to move heavy equipment. This is my prototype. So my prototype consists of 4 wheels, 1 remote, and a battery and a charger. How does this work? So you have 2 front wheels, 2 rear wheels. The 2 front wheels spin, the 2 back wheels don't. And then you have a battery that you mount underneath that you can just plug into an outlet to charge your battery, and it takes 2 hours to charge, and it lasts 20 hours. And then you have a remote that you keep with you that you can move forward, backwards, left, and right. So I project that this will cost about $300 to make. I'd like to get it patented, so that'll be about $15,000 to $20,000, and then I'd like to sell for $500,000. My business model, first I'd like to patent my product / technology. Then I'd like to promote it on social media and reach out to a bunch of businesses to see who would be interested in purchasing this. I'd like to license this technology out to real companies, and I'd like to license my technology out to all companies. My foreseeable future is I'd like to see most of these wheels integrated on tables, chairs, shopping carts, monitors, etc. So when I was doing my research, I found there's nothing else like this on the market, and wheels are on a lot of things. They're on tables, chairs, utility carts, shopping carts, monitors, dollies, and it'd be fantastic just to have these on that you can just control with a remote. I project my audience to be construction workers, furniture movers, stores, business owners, schools, individuals moving heavy equipment, or if people find another use to use, they can use it. My research, I found in 2016 that there are just over 203,000 injuries suffered by construction workers, according to the Bureau of Labor of Statistics, and about 10,000 of those injuries were back injuries. I also found that in the United States, there's about 540 million people suffering from back pain at any given time. And most of this happened because of handling heavy objects. So the way I'm going to start is I'm just going to make 4 wheels with my technology and create the remote, and then I'm going to use my business from back at home, put them under the cart and test it out. Once it works, I'll patent my technology, and then I'll license it out to companies. I know this problem exists because I've done my research. I've had firsthand experience with this. I've talked to caterers, such as Maureen. She told me that she's constantly moving heavy equipment around. Family and friends in construction businesses, and just observations in the classrooms. Thank you for your time, and I hope you help me move these tables back real easy. Questions?
So how accessible do you think this could be? Because I've been wanting to get my trash cans up my driveway hill pretty much every week. How much do you think that would be extensible, that you could make it like consumer product for other use cases?
So are you talking about, so I'm projecting to license it out to companies, but how could I get it out to consumers?
Right.
So first, I do want to get the product out to companies, so maybe they can incorporate them. If it's a company that's building office tables like this, they can put the wheels on that. And once people start seeing this product, I can start selling it myself. And they can also use my technology to incorporate it on their own wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that it can be incorporated on other things, such as trash cans or
And then-
household items.
How do you see that like more moving towards like autonomous or like future of mobility will play into this? Like, do you see it like going fully autonomous?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Yeah, my question has more to do with like research and your go-to-market strategy. Have you researched the time cost of patent, selling to corporate B2B, which is really, really difficult. And then also to what she was speaking to, like the B2C market, which sometimes is a lot easier and also influences the B2B purchasing decisions. So looking at those strategies and how the product may evolve based on the market, the customer that you're targeting.
I don't quite understand your question.
So there's a few ways you can go to market, right? You could sell to the consumer, like she was saying, I might see it on Amazon or something like that and buy it, which then would influence a company to say, hey, I've been seeing these things all around and people using it. I want my employees to all have this. and that influences their purchasing decisions versus like going to the companies right away and without any kind of like real validations and trying to find the right person to buy it, all of those things. How much of a challenge is it in the spaces that you're trying to sell to? Have you done research in that?
I have not done much research in that. I've looked at how much it is to get a patent and everything. And I wanted to go, so obviously there's two routes, the two routes that you explained.
Yeah.
Selling it straight to consumers and licensing it out to companies. I just decided to license out to companies and have them use my technology to on their products.
Okay, I think it requires some research on like what makes the most sense and what's cost effective.
Yes, yes.
So nice job, and feels like this is a firsthand issue. You've lugging these things around.
Yeah.
Question for you on your manufacturing. I was reading into it, maybe I shouldn't, that it feels like all your components are already manufactured and you're sort of pulling them together,
Yes.
right, to productize, the combination of a remote, a motor, and wheels. So just sort of confirm that you're not having to go to
Lawsuits and stuff.
well, no, because if you're purchasing them, but have you thought through sort of when you're pricing it out? Obviously, you're looking at kind of like we were talking about, like kind of being B2B. Have you thought through? Is this just going to Home Depot to buy things, or have you looked at like almost like a wholesale situation?
Well, the prototype I build myself,
Right.
most likely, and then if this is a product that works and that I like, then I'd start mass producing it and probably have it manufactured in a factory of some sort.
Right.
So when I was pricing it out, by looking up the prices of objects and kind of just totaling them together. So that would be the wheels, that would be the motors, batteries, chargers, etc., remote. But I'm not sure how much it would cost to manufacture an actual facility.
Sure. No worries.
Okay, thanks, Tyler. Hey. Next up, we have Cole.
Hi guys, I'm Coleman Dolia. I'm a freshman here at Science College and I'm studying in computer science and business. The company I'm presenting to you today is Savim, a receipt tracking app. So we've all been there. We've had someone give us a receipt that we've purchased on our personal card for a business and we've lost that receipt. Now that we don't have the receipt, that's on us to pay for. Now, this is a really big issue when it comes to every sort of business as well as personal life, as well as anything that has to do with keeping a receipt that you need to put on the books. The solution I have for that is creating a software. We take itemized receipts from the actual vendor and we save them automatically by transaction and that go into the native banking app. How it works. So you start at point of sale when you purchase the item. The information, including the itemized receipt, as well as the total and purchase value, goes to the merchant service, which then they break it down, which is who we're selling it to. They break it down in their software that we sell, and they send it to the bank, which appears on your native banking app, showing you the itemized receipt of every item you purchase. Our target market is going to be that merchant company because they're the ones who are taking the data from that company and moving it to the bank's company. So Green America has stated that people lose on average 5 receipts a month that they plan on keeping for either business or personal use. Web Expense states that over $20 billion is lost every year due to lost receipts that are going to be turned into businesses. Competition. Competition I'm going up against is apps like Fetch. Fetch you take a picture of the actual receipt and they convert it into their app. However, the issue with this is that to take a picture, you have to actually have the receipt. If you've lost the receipt already, you don't have that receipt to take a picture of. What we've done is we've done it directly, autonomously from the point of sale to your bank the second that transaction is. Our business model is going to be a for-profit company that operates as a software base that merges the banks and the companies together, creating an interface for the end user. Remember, save them. Thank you.
Just a question all around. So if you think about it, you obviously have to get the merchant companies on board with that.
Correct, yep.
But it feels like the value might be derived by the consumer. Have you given thought to how to motivate a buyer who might not be the direct recipient of the value, but more, kind of be almost in the chain, right?
Yeah.
To deliver that to the consumer, and how do you reconcile that potentially to motivate that merchant layer?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go through the process. So you have the consumer, they're thinking, oh, this is a great way to have, because you don't have to say the receipt. You don't need paper in your car, you don't need paper in folders. So for the consumer, obviously it's a good thing. For the banks, that's a draw in for the consumer, because if the bank's offering it, then the consumer will want that. Now, where it comes from the merchant company is because now, if the merchant company, because the merchant company is ending up being the one that's providing the service, if you only do with a few merchant companies, the banks will want to go to those merchant companies so they have an incentive for the customer.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, first.
So who's your primary market? Do you think it's like employees submitting expense reports, or are you guys in right on that? Or do you have other
So,
candidates?
yeah, so the end user obviously is going to be the consumer and the employees of large corporations, as well as people budgeting on their own. But our target market is going to be actually marketing to those merchant companies, because they're the ones that have to integrate it with their systems. However, we're going to work with banks as well as the merchant services to get the word out that it's available on these apps.
Yeah, because I think one of the other competitors that is trying to like rethink expense reporting is American Express, because they've so heavily been kind of credit card of businesses
Yeah,
that might have to think through, right, what are these other players in the competitive space that are also trying to like go to transactions as opposed to go to receipts.
Yeah, I think QuickBooks too is another one that probably will probably be above that.
Yeah, the only issue with stuff like QuickBooks and American Express is you have to have American Express or QuickBooks, and you have to have that separate app and that separate everything else. Whereas what I'm doing is I'm taking it and putting it into the native banking app. So if you have a Wells Fargo debit card, you see it in your Wells Fargo account instead of opening up QuickBooks or opening up a bunch of other apps.
Okay, so I have a two-part question.
Yeah.
So one, how do you make money in that going to those merchants' accounts, and why would they pay you to do what you're doing? And two, are you like a SDK or software integration into their native app, or are you a standalone app that has to be downloaded onto a person's phone that works in conjunction with another person's app?
So I'm gonna answer your second one first. So we're gonna be integrating into their already existing interfaces, their already existing software that they have.
Mhm.
So we're more of a software integration rather than a software app.
Okay.
Second thing with the money, we're gonna be making money on a subscription basis. So the merchant will license the software from us on a month-to-month basis, and they get to integrate it with that as many users as they want.
And what's the value proposition for the merchant why would the merchant use you and not do it themselves? Like what's the benefit for them to work with you?
So we have two main benefits.
Okay.
Our first one is it's gonna be cheap. It's gonna be cheap for the merchant to come on board. It's gonna be already developed. It's gonna be something they don't have to outsource. Second thing is it brings in more value for them as a merchant because they have an additional service to offer for those banks and for those, even the companies that use the merchant services, they have an incentive to use that.
Okay, thank you, Cole.
You let me know when I'm ready, or when you're ready. How you guys doing today? My name is Ben Factor. I am a freshman here at Versailles College. I'm also going into an economics major. So I'm going to present to you guys Budget Bites today. So have you guys ever ordered food before, like through a delivery app when you're really hungry, and you ever see the long delivery fee of 40 minutes plus, and that just kind of a headache, right? You know what I mean? It kind of sucks. All right, so what is Budget Bites? Budget Bites is an e-com platform or an application integrated into both that allows students to order grocery, snacks, and much more to their doorstep. So this is also all going to be student runs. The deliveries are going to be the students themselves. So you might be thinking why. So we want to solve delivery issues for all college students to reduce the cost and stress overall by making college experience better. So our local C-store doesn't have the variety that, you know, a Target, Wegmans, or Giant has. So that's what we want to offer by eliminating the extravagant costs, like shown when ordering through DoorDash, etc. We're going to create jobs for students to build their own schedules themselves. So what we offer everything from grocery snacks to shaving products and so much more. And all of our products are more inexpensive than most items in local convenience stores because they bring that convenience to you. We also did a local survey on Google Forms to see that if things are overpriced in our local convenience store here on campus, and the majority of them out of 24 said yes. And there's a C-store offer everything we need at the right value, and a lot of people said no. All right, so this is our competitor field against DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, Grubhub, Walmart Delivery, and Budget Bites. So we stand out because we're inexpensive to deliver. There's no order minimums, maximums, and we're providing jobs across campus because overall there's a job shortage as it is, and jobs aren't paying, you know, what you would like to pay. You're kind of stuck in this box of you have to make your own schedule, building around academics and studying and stuff like that. So you kind of make your own hours. So the difference that we stand out, we're not subscription based, you know, there's no lack of discounts, no expensive delivery fee, and drivers don't really know their way around campus when they're using other delivery services. For students they go to school here, they know, you know, the paths in the buildings, how to get there faster, so that 40-minute delivery time will be cut in half to 20, even less. Here's an example of. All right. So how often are people likely to use us? This is also part of the survey. 62.5% of that 24 said that they would. So this is our landing page. This is what they land on when they shop Budget Bites. There's also many other products. And then this is also an app that we would use for the student deliverer. So we would partner with an application called Easy Routes, and this software aids small delivery businesses, kind of eliminate that expensive tech fee to start because, as you know, tech fees are expensive when you're signing applications and trying to integrate. All right, so this is what it looks like when you place an order. This is our interface, all right? And this is our interface as well, and then we're sending it to the driver. That's the driver's interface through the application. And I would like to see this go future-wise. I definitely want to scale to other campuses like Penn State,
and use their, student platform, because it's obviously not fully profitable with only 1,600 students, of course. But definitely established within our science market itself. All right. Thank you for listening to Budget Bites. This is the best snack saving more on a budget.
Can you walk me through something? I didn't even realize this, but like, how does DoorDash work from a dorm perspective? So if you order DoorDash,
So
how do they get in? How do they find?
that's the thing. So there's a lack of knowledge in terms of getting around campus, of knowing, okay, if I'm in this building, well, what if I park in this parking lot? This is the total opposite. And students know, 9th Ave parking lot, 5th Ave, the Wismer lot. They know where, things are easy, accessible. Versus DoorDash, you kind of have to. I'll give you an example. When I ordered Uber Eats with my friends, we spend money on food. I was on the phone with the guy for 30 minutes trying to direct him to where I was. And that's kind of inconvenient because you can't pinpoint, hey, I'm right here, I'm by the football field first, because they don't know where the football field is, you know what I mean? They're doing multiple deliveries a day, whereas a student, knows where things are in terms of that field.
Yeah, you should craft your pitch more around the logistics of delivering
Gotcha.
to campuses, and especially dormitory related type of campuses versus like places where off-campus living, they probably don't have that issue. So campus is unique where like freshmen, sophomore, where people are living on campus in dorms that people can't find or access. And you have a workforce that knows the layout of the land or the delivery. People can actually be in your building so they can pick up and deliver and go right back to their room. So I think thinking about your pitch from that angle would make a lot more sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely, because Grubhub actually acquired a campus-focused delivery service originally.
Gotcha.
But it's been interesting to see how DoorDash has actually gained market share compared to Grubhub since the pandemic.
Mhm.
The challenge though, I think, is how do you reduce your costs? Because that's one of the things that still, you see higher.
Of course.
Just in like being able to pay for DoorDash, right? Most of the restaurants are adding that onto their food product price in DoorDash.
Okay.
So how would you address the cost?
We wouldn't have a big overhead like a corporation does, like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Walmart. We don't have those warehousings that we're paying. We're solely just moving money around, if you think about it. So I would say, there's a 20% markup per product that we source from their warehouses, like Walmart, and stuff like that, where 15% goes to the driver. So we're kind of keeping costs similar to what they are at the store. We're not really charging outrageous delivery fees to shoot their prices up to cover overhead.
Yeah, so my question is going to be sort of similar around, yeah, it was very telling, your graphic on like 100%, right? It said price was the issue. And just thinking about, how do you level that out, right, in order to compete? And it sounds like, I love the idea of, you're almost offering sort of like a flexible gig, type, economy type of job for people that have, pretty complex schedules between classes and athletics, whatever. So I was thinking through, like, is that something where, especially given sort of the local knowledge that you're going to need for this to succeed, almost like, is this a franchising type of a situation, almost campus by campus? So you avoid sort of the big overhead. And then you're also, you've got people at, Villanova who understand Villanova and this is how I get into that dorm. So those are just some things I was thinking through. And then as, kind of following up on Christine's question around, how do you compete? It seems like it's about as price sensitive as you could get from a market perspective, college students, and just keeping your overhead down in order to come in under. And then is it material enough, really? So.
Okay, good job.
Oh, did I use the wrong presentation?
It's not, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Max Madelavich. I'm a sophomore here at Ursinus. I'm studying biology and animal behaviors, and this is Kali. So as you may know, many people these days use harsh electric fences and shock collars to either keep their dogs near their house or to train their dogs not to do certain behaviors like bark or jump on their guests. And I was thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way. These are some harmful tactics to train our dogs. There has to be a solution to this. Because studies show that these shock collars are harmful to the dogs. They elicit poor reactions like yelping and barking and aggression. They're bulky, they're electronic, so it can irritate the dog's coat. On the other hand, electric fences are expensive. They can get up to over $1,000, according to HomeAdvisor.com. And the fences can't move. They're fixed in your yard, so you can't bring them anywhere. And this is where Kali comes in. It's a safe, affordable, and portable device that you attach directly to your dog's collar. And what it does is it uses a pitch and voice command technique to either keep your dog in a certain boundary, so it's automatic. If the dog hits the boundary, it'll play the pitch, followed by the voice that your dog will know to come back to you. There's also a manual component, so if your dog is barking or jumping on the guest, you can press a button and it'll activate that pitch and voice command technique to get your dog to stop. So this is what you'll get when you order Kali in the mail, besides the dog, of course, you don't get the dog. And I have a prototype for you guys. And pass it around. You'll notice the speaker, the clip for the collar. On the back is the battery. So you attach it, then you go to our website where you can draw your own boundary that your dog will stay in. You can also record your voice so you can make custom commands that your dog will know it's you. And in the setup guide, you'll follow the directions in your manual to condition your dog to listen to the commands and respond to the prompts. So here's what the website looks like. As you can see, you can draw your map. There's the manual command buttons, and you'll record your voice. You also enter your phone number so that if your dog leaves 10 feet besides the boundary, then it'll activate lost mode, which will send you a notification to your phone so that you know that your dog is lost. You're probably wondering, why is Kali safe? Why should I use it? So the pitch and voice combination is rooted in clicker training, which is a very safe and effective method to train your animals. And it's also small and ergonomic, the device itself. It won't damage your dog's skin. It wouldn't be that big, that's just an expanded model. It would be about 2 inches in size. And why is it safe for you, the user? The sound's always going to be out of the range of human hearing. Humans can only hear a certain frequency. Dogs can get a higher frequency, so you won't hear it. Neither will your neighbors. You won't make anybody mad. And like I said, the lost mode will let you know if your dog is lost. So competitive analysis, you can see Halo is a leading brand, but very expensive. The vibrating dog collar doesn't work as much as the clicker training does, and the FitBark GPS does not have the manual command that Kali does. So the business model comes up to about $35-ish. We'll sell it for $49.99 each. It's a one-time purchase. We'll also have replacement batteries. Our next 4 steps is to gather my own data and collect existing data to make sure it works. We don't want your dog to run away. We care about your dog and want to keep it safe. We'll finalize the prototype, it won't be a piece of paper, and we'll examine the demand for our product. Do people want this? We know they do, but we want to get that finalized, and then we'll launch it. So in conclusion, we all share a common goal. We want our dogs to be safe, and we want them to be well behaved. Our unique technological design is going to help us achieve that goal and more. And I think it's safe to say that we found a better way to keep our dogs safe. These are some references, and thank you for listening to this talk.
You kind of had me with that Australian Australian Shepherd. I don't Australian Shepherd mix right now, and he's a puppy, and he's not listening, so. But, no, that was interesting. Have you, yeah, I know one of the issues too with shock collars, right, is depending on the size of the dog, then, you know, you have to sort of scale the size of the shock, right, in order to motivate behavior. Is there anything commensurate to that as far as voice or clicker training, or is that kind of ubiquitous across breeds and sizes?
Yeah, so all dogs are gonna respond to the voices the same way, whether it's not the voice pitch, whether it's like a low frequency or high frequency, it would be the same pitch. And because a clicker, you use the same click for every behavior, so the dog is gonna respond to the pitch, whether it's a small dog or a big dog, do the same response.
And would you have to do training then for then each individual dog, would like that be part of your initial setup?
Yeah, that's why we include the manual. It will give you step-by-step scientific directions that you'll know exactly what to do to train your dog, and you'll know that your dog will respond to that because it's backed up.
Yeah, I think this is a real interesting product, and I think you did a good job with the overall presentation. I think the biggest thing that you're missing for a product like this that I didn't see was the go-to-market strategy, which I think is going to be the most important thing, is like, how do you get it in front of dog owners? Where do you get it in front of them? Is it social media? Is it pet stores? Is it, you know, online? Is it all of those things to kind of strengthen the strategy? Like, how are you thinking about initial like go-to-market strategy if all goes well and the prototype works? Like, where do you see that going, and how does that evolve?
That's definitely the next step I would need to take. My initial thought was only an online service for now, like shops like Amazon, Etsy, Shopify. It's the easiest way that I can gather the materials, and I would probably have to hire someone. I'm not that, I can't build this, but I would hire a facility that would be able to create the product. I would mainly sell online, and obviously advertising in the next step. So I'd go by social media and things like celebrity endorsements and sponsored ads from big creators that do kind of animal content.
Okay, thanks, Max.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Carly Schiller, and I'm a junior finance major. Hi, I'm Amanda Curdio. I'm a junior psychology and education major. And this is Picture Health. So a personal problem in my family is grocery shopping. My dad is a type 1 diabetic, and so he has a low-carb diet. And when we go grocery shopping, we try to find choices and alternatives that have low carbs. This is a problem for many Americans. There's dietary restrictions are becoming increasingly common, such as allergies, medical conditions, there's ethical choices, and then there's also just personal preferences. Our data from 2015 to 2018 showed that 17.1% of US adults aged 20 and over were on a special diet, and 33 million Americans have food allergies.
So our solution is a mobile app that scans food using a camera feature and immediately recognizes it to be safe to eat or offers an alternative safe food. You would pick your dietary restriction and then it would base off that. It would be an AI-generated app that helps align your food needs with your dietary needs. It empowers people to make efficient decisions about food choices.
Who is it for? It's for a variety of people. So filters you can choose from include lactose intolerance, gluten intolerance, religious restrictions, or if you're just looking for healthier alternatives. So here's a prototype we made. When you open the app, you'll see a scanner. So for example, if you go grocery shopping and you see a box of Cocoa Puffs, someone who has a low carb or a type 1 diabetic diet, they may scan this and will say, no, this is not a good choice. Instead, you should try Magic Spoon. Another example would be a student. A student may be trying mayonnaise for the first time, or they want to try mayonnaise. Maybe they want to put it on a hoagie, and they'll scan it and they'll see, oh, it does contain egg, and instead it'll offer you a different alternative. So for marketing, we're going to try to partner with nutritionists and allergists, and we're also going to partner with food sensitivity tests. Maybe try to put a card in the box or get on the box. For usage, we're going to offer syncing with other health apps such as MyChart or My Jefferson Health. So if you're using those apps, we're going to try to get those users as well.
So on our app, we'll have banner ads to make profit. We'll also have a section for our top 10 brands of the week. So we'll have companies that fit any of our dietary restrictions, either keto, gluten-free. We'll have them pitch their ideas to us, and we can include them in the top 10. We'll also utilize data monetization. We'll sell insights to food manufacturers and food advertisers. So currently on the market, there are a bunch of food apps and nutrition apps. Here are the two that most closely fit with ours. MyFitnessPal, as you can see, you can take a picture of your food and it'll show you the macronutrient profile. However, it doesn't offer healthy alternatives and you can't select for any dietary restrictions. Yuka also is another app. This app does provide healthier alternatives, but again, no filter like Picture Health that has dietary restriction filters and also alternatives. And then these are a few pictures of what it looks like. As you can see, MyFitnessPal has the breakdown, and then Yuka also has the alternatives, but nowhere to put your dietary restrictions.
Our next 4 steps. Next, we're going to expand that prototype you saw. And then after that, we're going to have our sinus focus group. We're going to take students from Maddie's classes like health beliefs, which are more health-based, and then my classes such as marketing and entrepreneurship. After that, we'll have the development of a rough draft app. We're going to utilize my brother, Joe, who just graduated from Temple with a computer science major. And then after that, we're going to take that rough draft app and pitch it to the food sensitivity test companies, nutritionists, and allergists.
Stay tuned as we help Americans with dietary restrictions and health interests live happier and healthier lives. Thank you.
I have a question. Have you guys thought about, so if I go to the store and I take a picture of an item and it gives me an alternative, but that alternative doesn't exist in the store, are you guys syncing into a store's database of products to understand if they are healthy choices in that store, if it's even the right store to be shopping in, based on your dietary restrictions, those types of things?
Yeah, it would be awesome if we could have, when we open the app, almost like a drop-down menu, if you're going to Walmart, Trader Joe's, Target, and based on what you're scanning in that store, the alternatives they offer. AI is really powerful. I feel like you'd be able to pull databases of food from the websites and kind of arrange them into that store by store.
Yeah, great job. I really think it's a good problem space. How do you see as more shift towards like e-commerce? Like if I'm already just ordering from Target or Amazon, how do I still use something like this?
I think like something good on our app would be, we originally wanted, you could still take a picture online. You would just need your phone. So you can still take a picture and see if it fits, instead of having to like go in and then look up all the nutritional facts of the food that you're doing. Hopefully we'd be able to have it where you could have AI recognize the food, Kellogg's, Flakes, take a picture, and then it would show you there. So hopefully you'd still be able to use it on the online platform as well.
Mm-hmm. And do you foresee like being able to list recommendations? So like Netflix will tell me what I should watch next based on my preferences. Do you foresee that it would just be able to tell me like, here's what I should, let me generate that list for you as a grocery list?
Yeah, so I think that top 10 list that we were kind of talking about, where we were saying it would be awesome if we could have brands pay us to put their food there. It would also be awesome if we can specify an algorithm that allows those brands that are paying us to also be good choices for you, specific to you, and I think we can do that.
Would that kind of muddy it up if they're paying for
Could get
crimes? Just saying, I don't know. Seems a bit, tricky, slippery slope, but.
I feel I'll do maybe a couple options that are sponsored, a couple of options that aren't sponsored.
Can I do a follow-up question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so have you thought about maybe, because I think there might be a trickiness with like, how much do I trust your recommendations if people are paying for it? If there's other ways to monetize it, that maybe the stores who want to sell more premium stuff and get more stuff moved off the shelf, they can pay to have your app integrated into their store apps and things like that. And maybe you go from a store by store basis where you're integrating at that level versus, kind of focusing on brands. Brands, you need a lot of traction and a lot of buy-in. So maybe thinking about, have y'all thought about those other ways to monetize so you don't have to kind of mess with the integrity of your recommendations?
Yeah, I like that. I like the store by store idea. I think initially we had thought, like if it's recommending vegan mayonnaise to you, we're gonna sell that information to Hellmann's and they're gonna pitch you more ads featuring vegan mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And that was the original kind of data monetization process, but I think the store to store is.
I really like the idea around partnering with healthcare providers, because it kind of gives you that objectivity versus, maybe being more commercially pushed. But just a question for you too, have you thought about, or did you test the idea of either fast food or prepared foods, right? As being a category where, it's the sort of, by definition, a culmination of a bunch of ingredients, and any one of them could be, on a no-fly list, right? Depending on, just a sort of a follow-up on that monetization, obviously selling the data back. But also, could be an avenue to pursue, with like the MyChart, which, my doctors all use, right? In that, if I'm low salt, and I'm supposed to be, how do they, is that something that's offered out, as part of almost like an incentive versus, and then, obviously they might not be motivated to keep healthcare costs down. That's a whole different thing. But I was just sort of thinking through what are those revenue streams other than the data itself.
So for the first part of the question about like prepared foods or fast food, on MyFitnessPal, you can take a picture of like a prepared meal and it'll use AI to like generate the calories or the protein in it. So hopefully we'd be able to use some type of information like that. Obviously it would be harder if we're talking about like if it's cooked with canola oil versus peanut oil, which another idea we had would be for it to scan a recipe. So in that sense, there would still be some room because we are dealing with like allergens. It's better that we have the most information. So we would use like the AI stuff from MyFitnessPal or the other app that we described, and also having some type of recipe thing. And then for like fast food restaurants and stuff, in MyFitnessPal, you can type in like McDonald's medium fry, and that would be something that we would have on ours too, because all that information, like oil, ingredients, is all listed on McDonald's.
Great, thank you.
For the second part, I think the data monetization, that was touching on both the selling our information to food companies and then also selling our information to food stores. So, yeah.
Okay, great job.
I've seen the link. It's still like a one click away.
Can you email it to me? I don't see it.
Yes.
Thank you, Jake.
Hi everybody, I'm Monica Herman. I'm a first year this year, and I'm planning on majoring in media and communications. This is my product, Swing. It's an app used to help people kind of with their busy hands. So I'm sure we've all come across the problem of struggling to get inside of our homes, just kind of maneuvering through our homes with doors being closed and our hands being full, whether that be with carrying children, baby strollers, maybe you have accessibility issues with a disability, wheelchair, crutches, holding groceries, and it also helps with elderly assistance. So people find oftentimes in their home, they have problems opening these doors and just kind of maneuvering through their home. Through my kind of idea with this assistive technology, I've come up with the idea of Swing, which is a household app that connects to your doors. The hinges, I'm sorry, not the hinges, the bolt. So in the store, you can see an example up there. There would be a chip which would connect to the app through Bluetooth with the door opening system. When the app is open, a button is pressed, which then signals to the system that, hey, there's someone nearby, the door is going to be opened. And as you can see here in the prototype, this is the app kind of home screen with the different door names and then the status of the door. And in each drop down, you can pick whether that door is going to be open when you're nearby, close, or if you need it to be locked and unlocked. Smart homes in the US have kind of evolved and become, more popular. The statistic that I found is that there are an estimated 3 million smart homes in the world and 60.4 million in the United States. So, they're evolving, and this is just yet another way to add to your smart home. So why us? Swing and the products work on any door in your home, garage doors, interior doors, front doors, and they also unlock and can lock the door. Another reason why Swing is kind of better than all the other automatic door situations is that there is an unlock and lock feature, like I previously stated, that's connected through Bluetooth, so it's easy for everyone. Everyone has an iPhone. And it also allows for people, like I said, with disabilities to access them. Maybe they're unable to open a door by themselves. The push button for accessibility and handicapped people may be hard to access, like I said, and they also have to go to it and push the button, whereas this is physically in your hand. You can press it and it senses. And also for the security, other apps and other automatic doors open when it senses movement, whereas this, it doesn't. It doesn't sense the movement. Only if you have the app activated, then it senses the movement. So this can kind of prevent people from just walking in and unannounced. The competitors, like I've said, they've had similar concepts, but they also require extra hardware to be installed, whereas my idea, there's no extra hardware and no strings attached. It's just, this is what it is. Other competitors, they also don't work with a variety of doors, whereas mine, it works with garage doors, sliding doors, and just regular normal open closed doors. And like I previously stated, other types of companies, their doors are activated by sense of motion, whereas mine are not, which is a security issue. The pricing, app is free to download, and it can also be used on Apple iPhones, and Androids, etc. The hydraulic system to open the door and that connects with the Bluetooth on the app is $500, and then the lock package that includes the lock is $550. So my next steps are to create an app, create a survey, which then would help me figure out how many people would find this product useful in their home, and then base connections to help me grow my business and then start producing the product. So if you're looking for an app that is a product that is easily accessible and provides just another addition to your smart home, this is for you. This is Swing. Thank you.
So I like the idea, it's almost like a personal version of how ambulances come to a red light and it turns green, right? So it's to give somebody the right of way. I was thinking through sort of the app part. I understand the Bluetooth part. I understand it. It also seems a little bit sort of hardware and installation heavy. Have you thought about how you might deliver, both the manufacturing and maybe partner with somebody on installation? I'm specifically thinking about maybe sort of the disabled or the handicapped access. Those folks maybe not, being particularly capable of doing something might be a pretty physical job.
Yeah. So actually, I was thinking about this earlier when I grow my business, and it's more than just me working on it right now. I would have then people in my company that would be more carpentry skilled and would be able to install my product into people such as like those who are handicapped into their homes. So once I grow my business and I would grow and have people working for me, then I would employ those who would be able to install my product into those homes.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking about that too. You might even look at like Thumbtack or some of these other, right, like home advisors that could come and, right, adapt it to your smart home. The other thing is, are you thinking about like integrations around like Google Home is one that's definitely been, right, this push towards smart homes is there. There's a lot of ones in the app space already in terms of like thinking about this as more of like an ecosystem play that you would like have your solution be a part. But then if they're already using it for lights and garage doors, that now yours could be integrated into that.
So yeah, I've actually thought about this a lot. Whereas I feel like Google is used a lot with voice activation and Siri and Alexa, but sometimes Siri isn't always getting your words right. They're not able to hear you, especially if you're carrying groceries. You don't want to scream to your front door like, "I'm coming with groceries." So I think this compares to that and can be partnered in certain ways, but I just don't think I would see my product working as, maybe not as well, or working better than theirs, just because if you're far away from your home or the door, yelling and trying to get Alexa's attention to open, which I know Google Home, like they use Alexa and Siri to turn on lights and flip the switch and all of that kind of thing, whereas this, I feel like it's easier if it's just with the push of your button and you're getting out of your car and you're loading your groceries, and it's kind of a more independent thing rather than worrying about the electronics. Also with that, if your home were to run out of power, say a power outage, Alexa doesn't work, and you need to get into your home and it kind of shuts down, there's a lock on it, and Alexa has locked your door, you're locked out of your house. My product, I put it in the presentation earlier, if there is an electric, if your electricity is shut down, the door is just, the application is just shut off. The door will work perfectly fine on its own then after that.
Yeah, I was thinking more like Google Home or like MQ rather than right trying to be this like integrator. So if you have smart lights, if you have smart garage doors, you could just tie it to whatever. If you have different outlets and everything, you can now have. They've already had like these orchestrator apps that are trying to bring all that together.
So you're saying in a partnership kind of in a way? Yeah. I think if I were to grow my business a little more, I would be able to partner with Google, and that would really help boost me. But I'm a very independent person, so I would like to build that first instead of relying on Google to help me bring that up. I definitely think partnering with them would be a really big goal.
Yeah, and then you might be able to just focus on like hardware versus like app development. In terms of again how to bring the idea to market.
I think so. Two things. I think so. You had the prior slide where you were like, go back. You want to create the app and then do the surveys. I think.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, this one. I think two should be first and then one. Right.
So create the survey.
Yeah, I think you want to. I think for this product, you want to identify your ideal customer profile. Right. There's everybody, but do you want to start with handicap, blind, wheelchair? Can you do market research and say, or senior citizens, a certain home, those types of places, and see where this, because I think if you go too broad, your product isn't going to gain enough traction trying to serve everybody, because like if I'm a person that doesn't have a need, but this would be like a want or vanity purchase, might not scale right. But if you say I want to target people living independently that are wheelchair bound or are blind or like elderly and senior citizen, I want to buy this for my grandmother, I want to buy this for those types of individuals, and say this is my niche market before you scale more broadly. I think that might be a direction that I don't know if you thought of, and maybe kind of see what the roadmap looked like, the product roadmap or customer roadmap would look like.
Right. So when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of what you were just saying. I just thinking of it in a little bit of a different way. I was going to create the app and then kind of from there see who I would be able to base my audience on. And another thing that I thought of was maybe not just creating one app and creating branches of apps. So maybe if you are handicapped, creating an app that would base your needs, be based around your needs more, or if you're, an elderly person trying to access your home, making it easier for you to go through the app and just access that in itself.
Yeah, I think your surveys will help you get to that before you build.
Yeah.
Because building different apps for different customers, that's a lot time consuming and expensive. And it might just confuse where you want to be.
Right.
Versus like doing the research up front and get customers to build the product for you and tell you what you should do. So that's a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Okay.
That's our last one.
Last but not least.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jake Kosa. I am a third year here at Science College and a computer science major, but I dabble a bit in the math and physics departments as well. And I'm talking today about a bit of a struggle that I see with the sort of entrepreneurship cycle on our science campus. And I'd like to sort of break it down to 3 different stages. We have contact, contribution, and collaboration. Now, a major issue that we have right now is while we do have a student-to-student marketplace, it's called the Bear Bazaar. It's a program we've been running once or twice a year for the last 3 years. That it's hosted on a bit too irregular of a basis. It doesn't happen often enough. I know I want to make it out there, but it just doesn't always happen. So we see a huge sort of wrench in the works here is that we lose our first stage of the cycle. There's no entry to contact. Without contact, we don't have contribution. And without contribution, there's hardly a reason for students to collaborate, make something bigger, better, that they can sell for more, make a better profit on, or just generally like get together. We want to inspire more collaboration. And so the solution that I propose here is to find a way to bring Bear Bazaar to the full year on every year through a platform called Bearboard. A simple app made to be sort of Pinterest / message board style. Students share, images of what they're selling, how much they're selling it for, very common marketplace type aspects with another side to it. Students can provide tutorials for one another, share resources, and not just sell goods, but also services. And what may come to mind is that this sounds an awful lot like we're trying to reinvent the wheel with, Amazon's out there, Etsy's out there, eBay's out there. So many options for selling items. The distinction that I like to say that we're making here is this is not a market, but a marketplace. The Bear Bazaar, the whole point is students will have QR codes on their desks with, direct links to their Venmo, and that's what we're doing here. We aren't having funds funneled through us. We're giving students a sort of student-to-student contact where they can talk directly to one another. What are they selling? How much are they selling it for? Where is the money going, and how can they collaborate? And now, out of a survey that I run as the president of the Makers Club on campus, is what students are interested in making, and what is the distribution of majors that we're dealing with here. So out of around 30 students, we saw a pretty even distribution between the math, CS, physics, humanities, lab science department. And as well, we have an anonymous message board platform called Yik Yak on campus that almost every single student uses, which is, almost what we're doing minus the marketplace aspect. They talk to one another, they discuss, some collaboration comes out of it, a lot of it is just like private fun. And so in order to get this off the road, or off the ground here, we have 4 next steps planned. First step is just plain word of mouth, talking to other students, how do you want this, what do you want to see out of it, and getting actual makers on board with what products are they making, would you be willing, do you have the time to do this year round, would you want that supplemental income? And then our third step is actually making the app, because we want to take a bit more of a lean approach than just jumping into the deep end of developing something. And a longer term goal as our fourth step would be actually to propose branching this out to other universities so that they can also have their own local marketplace programs. I could see opportunities for selling of data, of what kind of projects are there, any kind of AI integration with generating ideas to help students get their foot in the door with entrepreneurship who don't have ideas. But that is sort of our startup plan for Fairboard. Thank you.
So it feels, it feels like almost like a hyper-local Facebook market, right? In a way,
Yeah.
sort of, but almost in more of a trusted community, right? Especially if we're doing it or starting it within Ursinus. I guess just some questions around, not every idea, not every business has to be, there for, to maximize and drive profits. This seems more of a community endeavor. How do you think about it, right? Is this something that just is maybe a benefit to and to both students, the overall Ursinus community, or is this something that you were looking at maybe having some sort of a commercial outcome from it?
Yeah, my main goal with this was to provide a sort of community service of it. Aspects for at least breaking even and being sort of nonprofit in that sense is either finding some low friction way of having some portion of transactions go through us and we take a cut, or accepting donations from students, or even considering that it's an extension of the Bear Bazaar. I anticipate, considering it's more of a message board than actually like a high throughput thing, that potentially we could get it on Ursinus to just throw a couple bucks here and there to keep the website online and not much else.
To that end, what are your metrics, right? To grow the community, or that you really want to see transactions happen?
I want to see growing the community, getting more people making things on campus. And that's an extension, and I think we spoke before, of the Bear Innovation Competition and getting a maker space on campus. As an extension of that, I want to see more students stretching their maker muscles, and part of that is there isn't a lot of incentive right now. There's maybe 1 or 2 events a year that they get an opportunity to explicitly sell items. And if we could get something like that going year round, that'd be great. We do have Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, what have you out there, but a lot of that is not centralized enough to do something where we want to interact with students across campus as well as the local community and get them engaged as well.
Mm-hmm. Have you looked at other solutions like Gumshoe, especially if then you're offering more technical items as opposed to just items? They also offer a way for sharing, even Notion boards or
Okay.
other materials.
Gumroad, like Gumroad.
Oh, Gumroad, yeah, that's it, yeah.
Wait, I'm just. Yeah, Gumroad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that could be a good option to investigate, and especially as president of Makers Club, the fact that I have access to the email that I can do some legwork as well, and advertising that, even if it comes off of running it off of Gumroad, just getting something off the ground to be more integrated and in the minds of our science students.
So I think one of my only questions is more about the validation part of how much surveying have you done of how many other makers are there on campus outside of you said 30 that you kind of deal with? Are there other students that have the same type of passion, or is there students that want to have things done by other fellow students and making it easier to have commerce? So like, how far are you in validating the need for that community on campus, and or how do you grow it, given whatever research and data you're able to find?
Right. So in terms of the data that I've gathered myself, last year was when we launched Makers Club on a serious basis. And we ran 4 major events across the semester, 2 casual, we call them make-a-thons, where you just sort of hang out and make things, a game jam and some sort of robotics event. And every time I sent out about those events, I poured the students towards one survey to fill in what majors are we getting, what are they interested in, what kind of events do we want. And like I said, it's pretty hard to get students to respond to a survey. So I'm happy, at least myself, with the numbers we were getting, because I didn't allow students to repeat it. So it's 30 individual students who responded across multiple majors who are interested in making. We just this year ran an event in the makerspace with our new embroidery machine and had 20 students in there. I was only expecting a few, but we had 20 students in the room roughly who were willing and ready to learn how to digitize designs to put in the embroidery machine. And just what I've seen out of the Bear Bazaar is there's at least 4 tables with a good deal of products being sold. Actually, I live in Sevens right over here, and one of my friends in the house regularly makes jewelry by hand and sells that at the Bear Bazaar. And I figured there ought to be something, they need supplemental income. We're college students, not everybody has a well-off family who, want some supplemental income. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was 14 hours worth of work on the part of all these students. So I think you should all be commended on, some of you, this has been the first experience that you've had with the process, learning the innovation process and what goes in and what kinds of things to be thinking about, and then working through late at night and then coming back in this morning. So I thank you all for the contributions that you gave it, and stepping out of your comfort zone. So it's not that easy. And I also thank our judges and our keynote speaker, who we're going to hear from shortly. So thank you all, I appreciate it. So next on tap is we'll take a 5-minute break. The judges can confer next door, and we'll have somebody helping you do that. And in the meantime, if you need to use the restroom, we have some desserts out. We'll come back in the room. We're going to hear from Gia and Nina, and then we will award the prizes. So let's take a 5-minute break, literally 5 minutes. So it's 3:35 now. We'll be back at 3:40. Grab some desserts. We'll hear from Gia and Nina, and then we'll hear the results of the UC Imagine Fest. So thank you again. We're videotaping, is that okay? Good. So usually what I'll do is, the Andy Proctor and Digital Commons will usually break the video up for us. So it'll be posted, and then you'll have your own clip. So, yeah, so it's nice. So whatever you're ready, Deanna.
We're good?
We good? We're good?
All right. Hello, everyone. I just want to start off by saying thank you for having me today. I was very humbled when I was invited to speak at this event, so I'm really honored to be here. My name is Janina Flamiano, class of 2022. I'm currently a software engineer at Comcast, and I work in the building technology sector doing mainly back-end development, but I am looking to start working in front-end soon. Apart from work, I'm getting my master's in computer science with a concentration in web and database technologies at St. Joseph's University. And I'm also an assistant swim coach at Lineville YMCA for the BCM1 swim team. So today I'm just going to talk to you all about my Ursinus experience, how that impacted my internship and job search, and how Ursinus has contributed to the roles I've held thus far. I'll also speak about all of my roles more specifically, kind of like a roadmap of my career. And I'll talk more about my company Comcast, about who we are, what we do. Lastly, I'll highlight how Comcast contributes to the theme of public interest technology. All right, so I attended Ursinus from August 2018 to December 2021. I got my bachelor's in computer science with minors in math and Spanish. On campus, I was also part of the UC Ambassadors. I was also actually a commuter student, so I was only here on campus during class. And I was always just in the library or here in the IDC to study and do homework. I also wanted to take a minute to give credit to some of the courses I've taken here that have had a direct impact on my career and my professional growth. So CS 275, Software Engineering, Fall 2019 with Professor Dushenko. This is where I learned about Agile methodology. And this was also where I learned how to work on a programming project with a team. Because prior to this class, it's mainly like individual-based assignments, and that's not how it works in the real world. In the real world, you work on a team, and everybody has their individual tasks that contribute to the main application. So that class was good practice for me. CS 371, Data Structures and Algorithms. I took that spring 2021 with Dr. Traley. And this directly helped me with the coding interviews during the internship finding process. This is also where I learned Python, which I use daily in my role now. CS 471, Web and Mobile Development, Fall 2020 with Dr. Mongan is where I found my passion for front-end web development. And CS 476, Computer Graphics in Fall 2020 with Dr. Traley. That taught me how to be a better programmer, and it was also my first exposure to JavaScript, which I used heavily in my internship. All right, so the first role I held was an internship at Comcast in the summer of 2021. This was during COVID times, so I worked remotely out of, I believe that was North. I don't remember anymore. And the team was actually based in Denver, so it was also good it was remote because I would have had to move out there for 2 months. That would have been too much. But I worked for the ad platform team. They developed an advertising delivery system that provides streamable assets to internet sites as well as transcoded assets to linear television. I worked closely with the team's front-end UI developer, Sam. He was the sole UI developer, so it was more impactful to me to be working alongside of him because I felt like I was contributing a lot to the team and assisting him with his heavy workload. I was also part of the Emerging Future Leaders program, also known as the FLP. My mentor was Christine Kane, and she helped me a lot with professional growth, networking, and she was simply a good support system for me whenever I was like overwhelmed with my job and my career. I also made it look like TypeScript. I don't know if anyone caught that. So this is going to be a very technical slide, so bear with me here. So the application my team worked on was built using Angular. Angular is a component-based framework for building web applications. So when you generate a component, you do that in command prompt, you run a command, and it will automatically generate a TypeScript class or a JavaScript class depending on the version of Angular. It'll also create an HTML template and your styles, which is your CSS file. The team followed Agile methodology. An Agile team is designed to produce code as quickly as possible and as iteratively as possible. So rather than building entire features, we break things up into parts to try to spread the work out amongst the team. And we break the times up into 2-week sprints. So Agile has 3 main parts, and they're technically called ceremonies. So first is stand up, sometimes called Scrum. And that's a daily meeting where every team member answers 3 questions. What did I do yesterday? What am I planning to do today? And what might be blocking my work? At the end of the meeting, there's a parking lot time where anything that needs to be discussed as a team can be talked about. This is really a quick meeting. It's usually like 15 minutes long, because it's basically just a check-in. The next ceremony is refinement. Refinement is a bi-weekly meeting where you look at stories in the backlog. And the backlog is just a list of stories that haven't been assigned to a sprint just yet. And in this meeting, you determine the amount of points each story is worth. So that's in terms of the amount of time it'll take to complete the story, as well as the difficulty. And then you also just make sure that all of the descriptions and acceptance criteria are clear so that you can start working on it without any additional conversations with the business team or the clients. Sometimes this meeting can last 2 hours, sometimes it can last 30 minutes. It really just depends where you are in your application development. The last ceremony is planning. Planning is also a bi-weekly meeting. This is where you just plan out the sprint for your next one. And then you just take your refined stories from your refinement meeting, and you just make sure that your sprint doesn't have any downtime at the end. And you want to make sure you don't have any rolling stories. And that's when your story is not completed, so it just automatically gets pushed in the next sprint. So in a typical development shop, there are a number of stages. Just for the interest of time, the most important ones are local. This is where you develop code on your own machine. The testing environment is where your code can be deployed so that the QA team can test it. Pre-prod is the last place your code should go before being deployed to production. This is where regression testing happens and user acceptance testing happens. And production is the final step. This is where we use real-world servers, and this is where our customers actually use the application. So when you get assigned a user story, there's certain steps you have to follow. So first, obviously read the story, understand the acceptance criteria. Then on your local machine, you have to use GitHub to change to your appropriate branch, fetch and merge the upstream repo. Then you create a new branch that is named after the feature you're working on, build and do dev tests on that branch, run unit tests, and once you're comfortable with your changes, you're going to stage them and then commit your code. So you usually have a message with your commit. It's either going to be a bug, feature, or tech debt. A bug is exactly what you think it is. It's something in the code that should not be happening. A feature is anything new you're adding to existing code. And a tech debt is kind of a short-term solution rather than a long-term one. So it's an easy solution, but it's pretty limited. And then after you write your message, you're just going to push your code to origin and then create a pull request in GitHub, and then your code is heavily tested by QA. So an example of a bug I worked on was I just fixed a button that was downloading an empty zip file. A feature example is a column resizing feature that enhanced the user experience. This was the biggest story I worked on. It took the entire 2-week sprint. And I never did any tech debts. I just eliminated previous ones by converting JavaScript files to TypeScript files. And that's because we wanted to convert our AngularJS app to Angular 11, and it's just the newer version. All right, so we get into what I do now. So I started my full-time role in February 2022. I've actually switched teams 2 times. So I've worked with 3 different teams since February 2022. The first was billing systems for Xfinity Mobile from Feb 2022 to April 2023. I just validated residential XM billing cycles. There I validated like your data usage, just making sure that like you get billed correctly. I did this using scripts and SQL. I also compiled daily reports for leadership for Comcast Business Mobile. In my second role, I worked in billing tools from April 2023 to September 2023. This team is more development oriented, similar to my internship. And this team works on an internal change management tool. Since my time was so short there, I spent a lot of time just learning since this application used ASP.NET. And that's kind of an old framework that's not really common anymore. So I actually never heard of it before I worked with them. But once I felt comfortable enough with the dev space, I eliminated tech debts and bugs. And now in my current role, which I actually just started about a month ago, my team works closely with our vendor that produces residential statements for Xfinity products. That is, if you're a TV, internet, voice, or home customer, my team basically just ensures that Comcast gets paid. I'm still learning a lot right now, but as of lately, I've been writing a lot of Python scripts to automate manual tasks my immediate team and related teams do. All right, so Comcast, we can talk about who we are and what we do. So when I used to think of Comcast, I used to just simply think cable and internet, but it's so much more than that. Comcast is a large, diversified media technology company that owns a number of subsidiaries and brands such as Xfinity, NBC Universal, Comcast Advertising, Sky, that's like a European streaming service, so we don't really hear about that over here, and Comcast Spectacor. But for now, I'm just going to highlight Xfinity because that's the unit I work in. So on this slide are all the products that I see daily, minus Xfinity Mobile now. So if you have internet, X1, Flex, Home, and Voice, my team manages your data as well as your statements, and we also validate that you're billed correctly and it's on time. So how do we play into this public interest technology theme? So on a broader scale, Comcast contributes to this theme through this effort called Project Up. The goal of this project is to drive economic mobility for underrepresented and low-income communities. Digital navigators are trying to increase low-cost or free internet to these communities. And the federal government actually implemented this program called the Affordable Connectivity Program, called the ACP. And this just ensures that internet is readily accessible through a $30 monthly credit. And we're participating in the ACP with two products that can be fully covered by the monthly credit. That is Internet and Internet Essentials. We also support public-private partnerships as well as nonprofit organizations. And this map here just shows the nationwide number of charitable foundations and corporate grants that are covered under the ACP. So one way I'm actually personally contributing to this is through a bill redaction script I developed from the ground up, and that has been the forefront in my mind for the last few weeks, causing me a lot of stress. But so basically with this ACP, we need to provide evidence to the government that we are in fact providing service at a specific address. And the best way to do that is by giving customer statements. However, we want to protect the data. So before, Comcast would hire a vendor to manually redact hundreds of thousands of statements. I created a Python script that you can just enter a folder of PDFs. It takes about half a second to redact everything because you only want to redact, you want to keep the internet line, the service address, the billing date, the servicing dates, and the page number. Everything else is redacted. The script is still in testing. However, once it's in production, we're actually going to be saving the company billions of dollars. So that's a project I'm really proud of, and I'm really happy I get to contribute to the ACP. Yeah, and this is just a quote from Colorado State Senator about Comcast efforts and our ACP involvement. And then another quote from Dave Watson, who is our president and CEO. so this slide concludes my presentation, but before I open the floor to questions, I just wanted to highlight our Comcast career site, jobs.comcast.com. If you're still looking for an internship, applications tend to open in early January, so check periodically after the holidays. Full-time opportunities are ongoing, so just check that whenever. For both of these applications, there will be a section where you can add an internal reference. Feel free to add me in there. And if you want to apply for a full-time opportunity, you can shoot me an email with a small bio about yourself, attach your resume, also attach the application ID. That way I can look internally and then see who your talent acquisition rep is and who the hiring manager is. And I'll write a nice little email about you and hopefully get you a job. All right, that's all.
Questions?
Is there any like personal project that stands out to you that you think helped you get your first internship? And would you be able to talk about it a little bit?
Yes, so actually, web and mobile development, Dr. Mongan was the class that got me the internship because that's where I found my passion. I feel like prior to that, I was just taking CS courses that you're supposed to. I just felt like I was going through the motions. I knew I wanted to program, but I didn't know in what way, I guess. So I took that class and I just loved the design aspect of it. So for the final project in that class, I just made a website for this family business that my parents have. It's like a bakery. So I was able to talk about that project a lot during my interview, and they actually were a web development team. So I owe a lot of it to that class and that final project.
Thank you.
Yes.
So working directly with, with the ins and outs of technology, in your space, where do you see like a gap that needs to be filled? Not necessarily even like a technological sense, but even just like a service or product sense. And what do you think is like, or if there's nothing being done about it, there's something being done, but if there is, like what is being done about that?
So I think really the gap is just the service itself and who we can provide service to. Just like now is the first time we're really working with this ACP, and we're really only working with it in California. So we are seeing gaps in the rest of the nation. However, we're slowly but surely introducing new divisions. So I think that's where I see a gap. And it's really important in this day and age because you kind of need internet to just connect with society and connect with the world. So if we can just improve our broadband network, that will solve our issue.
Is there ever times of internet outage, either in your area where you work or anywhere? Is it kind of like an all hands on deck, everybody that can program helps out, or is there specific conditions that help with outages?
Right, so the outages is not my, not my monkey, not my circus. Where it is a problem is if for some reason our vendor doesn't send out bills for whatever reason, that is all hands on deck with my team because we're like, Comcast doesn't get the money, so that's really our issue.
So you're a part of a big machine, right? And I think that's great for anybody starting out their careers, to be a part of a machine and learn what it feels like to be in a machine. Are you still finding time to like get to know what you really like in terms of passion projects and things like that, and where you're outside of work, what your identity looks like in terms of like professionally and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was actually something I really struggled with last year. I went through a bit of an identity crisis because I finished school and I got this job and then I even moved out into my own apartment. So I feel like all of my life I was like, I just gotta get a career, move out and do all this stuff. And now that I had all of that, I was like, what do I do now? And suddenly it became so important that the work I was doing mattered and something that I felt like I was actually adding value to the company. And I will say my first role, it was just a lot of validation. I didn't really develop anything. So I was really having a hard time with that. However, now that I'm in a team where they really value creativity and I just developed a Python script all by myself from the ground up, that has been really fulfilling to me. And also I'm doing my master's right now, so I'm still looking to kind of explore the industry, and like I said earlier, you might have missed it, but front-end development is my passion, so I really want to develop the user interface rather than the back-end side of things.
You know, when you talk about openings at Comcast, is that across the board, or is that limited to maybe computer software development or a particular area?
This is open to all industries. It's not just the tech industry. There's finance, there's everything. But I feel like as long as you have a reference, you're pretty good.
Yeah, thank you for that offer. That's quite generous. And yeah, it's about networking, right?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes.
Can you talk about some of the innovation or college and collaborations that you do at Comcast?
Right. So we're a very small team. There are 2 developers on my team right now, me and somebody else. And I actually just joined the current team I'm on now a month ago. So as far as collaboration goes, it's kind of non-existent so far, but since I did do the script and like we want to integrate it into our UI, so this is where I was saying I'm going to get more front-end work soon. It's really just a 2-person collaboration. And we don't even have a big QA team. So we're really just developing it and then testing it and then pushing it to production all on our own.
Do they still do like lab weeks and such like that to like promote kind of that innovation around the year?
They do. I haven't participated yet, but they do still do that.
Harry's question kind of like reminded me, or just gave me this idea, like how he said like you're part of a machine of like this big corporation at Comcast, and coming from like such a small school, because I know we talked, like I'm going to another very big company after school. Was it like intimidating, like stepping into that world of like this one office has double the amount of people that I went to school with type deal, and like if it was intimidating, like how did you deal with that?
Yeah, so luckily with the Westchester office, we're smaller, so I didn't like have that physical presence of a bunch of people, but clearly Comcast is a huge company. I definitely did have some imposter syndrome coming into it because I was also probably the youngest in the office now. So you're going into the office with a bunch of individuals who have been in their roles for 20, 30 years, and in Comcast, that's very, very common. So they know what they're doing, and they know it really well. And so it was a little daunting to kind of insert myself in that space. But the nice thing about being young is we're learning these newer technologies that they haven't experienced just yet, like specifically with Python. I'm the only one who really knows Python, and only the other person on my team knows it. But if we want to pass along scripts or anything, they wouldn't know that. So we all have our strengths and weaknesses. We just got to tune into what we know and what we're good at.
And kind of just a follow-up question to that, you said like a lot of people have been holding their positions for a while. Do you see like in the near future, like that realm or that, I guess, like generation of people that have been there for so long, like phasing out and a lot of opportunities starting to, I guess, make itself visible?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Like everybody at Comcast really kind of climbs the corporate ladder. So I'm sure once they reach that age, more opportunities will open up. But also with Comcast, there's I think it's every 2 years you do get promoted. So they really value if you stay there for your entire career. So that's why it's also pretty cool.
Great. One more question.
Sorry. Do you plan on staying here for a very, very long time, or do you have other, I guess, goals or other companies that you would rather work at or would like to get into, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a developer, it's, you know, you always kind of think about, oh, maybe Google or Netflix or Facebook, you know, all that stuff. But I don't know, I feel like Comcast provides a really good work-life balance, and right now it's okay because I'm young and I'm still in like, let's work, let's make money mode, but I know once I'm ready to start a family and all, that work-life balance won't exist in a bigger company. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I definitely also want to try opening up that bakery business with my family, and then I can use my CS skills to make our own website and actually make that into a reality. So it's just all up in the air for now.
So you have an entrepreneurial spirit.
A little bit. But I got to use my CS degree first, you know?
There you go.
But it's a work.
Great. Anybody else? This is great, Gian.
Thank
It's Gian.
Janina. Pretend it's a J.
Okay, Janina.
Janina.
Janina, there we go. All right, well, thank you so much. It was a great. All right, I guess, shall I turn it, am I turning it over to Joe? Where are you, Joe?
Just cycling out.
Okay, am I turning it over to the judges?
Yes.
Or who am I turning this over to?
The judge.
Okay, I'll turn it over to the judges. Where did you put?
I have.
Okay,
I
I'm
have.
turning it over to Don and the judges then.
I want to go first.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm standing up, right? So.
So I know not, I don't usually sit in on any of the judges, so that's all. Good to meet you.
So we're gonna do this in reverse order. So we're gonna do third place first, and I'm gonna announce that one. So third place, the presentation, the idea, I think the word that the other judges and I also were agreeing on, it was just very clean. It was well thought out. It was well presented. It was a little bit different than, you know, I think some of the ideas that have been put forward, at least in some of the competitions I've been involved in. And this individual also, I thought, absolutely crushed the question. So third place goes to Kali and Max. Let's do one of these.
And then we want to get a photo of everybody at the end too.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so I have the pleasure of presenting second place. So a few comments about this team. I really think that they had spent some time in the problem space and really unpacked that well. I think that's really important, right? As you're going through this innovation process to like recognize what problem you're ultimately solving and then thinking through, right? What might be some of your solutions. So I'm proud to announce that second place is Picture Health. Thank you. Congratulations.
I wanted you to present the first place.
No pressure.
The pressure's on, Harry.
Before we present this one, I think for all of the companies, I think you all did an amazing job, did a great job pitching. The first prize is more about the one company that we felt was really on theme and on brand for the competition, and really focused on that like public, tech side of things, and did a great job of like kind of outlining the product, setting up the pitch and everything like that. But for all of you, you guys are so early in getting all of the little things in place and learning from each other what it looks like to pitch and how to put your ideas together, and really starting to think about the problem, right? And I always say when I come to our signings and Maureen gives me the opportunity to pitch, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So every year you continue with your ideas, it'll get stronger, it'll change, it'll develop. So don't feel rushed to figure it all out right now, especially people who are in the problem, working the problem, feeling the problem. It's gonna come, and it's not overnight. And so next year you have a chance, and the pitch should be that much cleaner, that much better. But the first place went to Project Light.
Are you trying to stop us?
Right there on.
We are low on juice these days. We've been doing a lot of photographs. Hold on, I'm not even on photo yet. Let's go to video. Hang on. I know, it's ridiculous.
Charlie's coming in.
She's coming behind me. I got one. All right.
So that's just.
Got it? Okay, great. Thank you to everybody that participated. If you could, and again, as Harry said, I met Harry, when did I meet you? I don't know, but Harry's been traveling across the country pitching for, I don't know how many years now.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So,
8 years?
So he is a serial entrepreneur who does this to try and raise money for his companies and launch them and scale them. He brought together he brought his co-founder today, so they are in this space, and I think it's valid. His comments are valid because he's out there doing it every day with investors. So everybody did a great job to have this kind of experience early on and to continue developing your ideas and your ability to pitch says a lot for you guys. So thank you all for participating. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, if we could get a picture of everybody, that would be great. And then we'll get a picture of the judges with the prize winners. And thank you all for participating. So you know. Oh.